This is the tutorial for the timestamp to seconds converter. So it's the opposite of what we just did in the previous assignment. This one is going to go from a timestamp to a total number of seconds. And there are a couple things that we need to be able to use here. One is we need to understand how lists work so we can use the split function. The split function allows us to separate different pieces of a text value and kind of find meaning in them. We call that parsing, right? You can parse through a bunch of text characters and try to find valuable information according to a pattern, right? If you can figure out the pattern in your text values. Anyway, so the pattern here, of course, that we're looking at is there's going to be a couple digits of an hour's value, a couple digits of a minute's value, and a couple digits of a second's value, and they're going to be separated by a colon character. So that's going to be really helpful to us, knowing how they're separated. All right. Oh yeah, let's just double check the requirements. It says shouldn't use any built-in Python functions, or sorry, imported Python functions to do the conversion, because there's a bunch of things just written for Python that will do this all automatically. The only functions that we're going to be using are things like the split function I just mentioned and converting between integers and string values. Okay, so the program should prompt the user for a timestamp that looks like this, and it should turn into something that looks like this. And once again, we have the test cases. We can see if we get it working correctly in the end. And we should also make it loop forever. All right, if you want to just put a little loop at the beginning, because we know that we're going to have it loop. So I'll just say while true, and then everything I do is going to be contained in that loop. Let's start by asking them to enter a timestamp. Enter a timestamp where, or maybe let's say in the format HHMMSS. Let's keep printing, where HH is hours, MM is minutes, and SS is seconds. All right, did that format nicely? Let's see. Oh, and it's just going forever because I have the loop on it, right? So I should have put a little input statement there to stop it each time. Okay, so enter a timestamp in the format HHMMSS. Yeah, looks good. Okay, so the input, let's store that as a variable name, or let's choose a variable name for that. We can just call it timestamp. And now let's use that split function that I was just talking about. So the split function can take whatever value you want inside of the parentheses. If you don't pass anything in the parentheses, it's going to just split things on white space. So like a space character. I believe this one even checks for new line characters. Some languages have a different way that the split function works, but Python, I believe, just does white space by default. I forgot we have to also say what we're telling it to split. So I say timestamp.split, and we want it to split on specifically the colon character. So I'm passing that in inside quotes. And we also need to tell it where to store that list of pieces that it's kind of broken apart. So let's create a variable, and it's going to be a list. So the names we use for list values should be plural. Like maybe we could say time units, right? I got an S at the end instead of just time unit, because there are going to be multiple values in here. Okay, and if you just want to test what time limit or time units looks like, let's just print time units as a list. The print statement can print out a list just fine. So if I type in, if I pass in a 0, 0, 45, it was able to split those three pieces apart, right? The hours, the minutes, the seconds, because I told it to split on the colon character. Okay, so where do we go from there? Well, right now these are not number values. We need them to be number values if we want to add them together or use the appropriate math operations with them. But else? Oh, we also need to know how to access items in a list. I don't know that we've seen that before in this class. So let me give you a quick overview of that. If I just wanted to access the first item of a list, you might think that that would be spot 1. If I tried time units at spot 1, like I was saying, you might think it's that. Oh, and I forgot, we'll have to enter it all again. In fact, this is going to be confusing because both spot 0 and spot 1 are 0. So it says 0, 0, so you might think, oh yeah, we got it. Let me try a different one so that you can see. What if I had 12 hours, 23 minutes, and 6 seconds, and then I'm printing out spot 1. You might think that I would print out a 12, but it actually prints out a 23, because that is spot 1. That is spot 1, right? In a list, we start counting with spot 0, or index 0. I should use the word index. So this is index 0, it has the value 12. At index 1, we have the value 23. At index 2, we have the value 6, or 0, 6, right? These are all still text values. Anyway, so if we know that it starts at 0, and then it has 1 and 2, we can just store all those as variables, right? We can say this is the number of hours, and this is the number of minutes, time units. Oh, sorry, I forgot. I need to change that to be the 0, of course. The number of minutes will be at spot 1, and the number of seconds will be at spot 2, or index 2. Okay. And we also need to convert them to integers. So if you want to just do that on the same line, you can, right? We could just say int of whatever it finds there, int of whatever it finds there, and int version of whatever it finds in spot 2. So now these are all going to be holding number values. If you just want to figure out the total, we need to once again know how many seconds are contained in 1 hour, because having the number of hours isn't enough. We got to know how many seconds are in 1 hour and multiply that, right? So why don't we just create that variable that we had in the previous assignment? Let's say seconds in 1 hour, or seconds in hour. Set that to be 60 times 60. And then seconds in minute equals 60. And now let's just write out the calculation. Or let's make a new variable. Also, I'm going to get rid of this print statement. Let's make a new variable called total seconds. Total seconds. And you could start it out at 0, and then let's just add on all the values we get from each of these 3 units of time. So the hours is going to give us whatever this is multiplied by the hours. So let's just say total seconds plus equals, so we're going to add on to the total. Total seconds plus equals whatever our hours is multiplied by seconds in hour. And then we can say the same thing. Total seconds plus equals multiplied by how many seconds are in 1 minute. So we have a, oh whoops, I've spelled it wrong up there. We gotta have that E. Seconds in minute. And then total seconds plus equals seconds, or SS, right? We don't have to multiply that by anything. Okay, let's test it. If we print out the total seconds value, we could even give it a little label. We could say that is total seconds. So if I say, let's just run through our tests, 0, 0, 0, 0, 45, says that is 45 seconds. And then it's prompting us again. This time we'll try 11:38:21. $41,901, good. Last one is 02 1706. 8,226. Perfect. So if you've run through these test cases and yours works just like mine, you're good to go. We're done.